Hello, my name is Teacher Iman and welcome to GED Mathematics live at PALS. In this video, I will be presenting the topic Order of Operations. Before I continue, let me introduce to you the targets. The targets that we have in this video are: first, explore an easy way to remember the order of operations. Second, use associative and distributive properties in solving problems that involve multiple operations. In GED Mathematical Reasoning Test, you will be encountering problems with multiple operations. In a problem that involves several different operations, the operations must be performed in a particular order. So at this time, we'll be looking at the order and to find an easy way to remember the order of operations. What is the order of operation? Let me introduce to you an acronym, PEMDAS, that stands for the order of operations. What operations should you do first? What should be the next? And the last. What is the order of operations? Let's look at the PEMDAS and what each letter stands for. Let's start with the first letter. The first letter is P. P stands for parenthesis. So it means any parts of an equation that are written inside a set of parentheses are done first from the inside out. E stands for exponent. The second step in solving an equation is to evaluate the exponents. The next letter is M, stands for multiplication, and D stands for division or multiply or divide. Multiplication and division done next in order as you read them from left to right. If multiplication and division are arranged in order, you should solve them or you should evaluate them from left to right. The next letters are A and S. A stands for add, S stands for subtract. Addition and subtraction are done last in order as you read them from left to right. Again, if addition and subtractions are in order, you need to evaluate them or solve them from left to right. So PEMDAS again stands for P parenthesis, E exponent, M multiply, D divide, A add, S subtract. Now, to easily remember the PEMDAS or PEMDAS, it is good that we should think of a very familiar expression that will represent each of the letter. Like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P stands for please, E stands for excuse, M stands for my, D stands for dear, A for aunt, and S for Sally. Having a common expression that stands for the order of operations helps us easily remember the order. So you can actually copy this expression if you like. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But you can also have your own that will help you remember the order of operations. Let's try some examples. I want you to look at the screen and look at the examples given. We have two examples. Let's start with the first example. The first thing that you need to do is identify the operations involved. As you can see, there are multiple operations involved. So remember the acronym PEMDAS or PEMDAS, and then identify which one you need to solve first. Now in this example, in the first example, we will start with those operation inside the parentheses because it says on the order of operations, we should start with the operation inside the parentheses. So the operation inside the parentheses, we have -5 plus 4. And we can also work out the other parenthesis, the other operation enclosed by the next parenthesis, which is 8 over 2, or 8 divided by 2 plus 4. Now, let's solve. -5 plus 4 is equals to -1. Then let's enclose it still with a parenthesis. 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus 4. Now, you have the new sets of operations. So here, let's do the -1 times 4 first. So -1 times 4 is -4 plus 4. So the last operation is -4 plus 4 is equals to 0. So the answer is 0. If you don't follow the order of operations, you will always get a different answer. Let's try example number 2. Again, if you look at the example, the problem, you will see again multiple operations involved. So here, let's start with, again, those operations inside the parentheses. So we can work out 4 minus 5 and 8 divided by 2. Okay, let's answer. So we can copy 3 plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is -1 plus 1. Then next is 4 times -1. So we have 3. 4 times -1 is -4 plus 1. And then addition and subtractions are now arranged in order. So we will work out with the addition and subtraction from left to right. So we will do 3 minus 4, which is -1. And -1 plus 1 is equals to 0. So the answer in example 1 and the answer in example 2 are both 0. As you can see, working with the order of operations is not really that hard. All you need to do is remember which operation should go first, or which operation you should solve first. Because if you make a mistake with the order of operations, you will always come up to a wrong answer. Let me introduce to you also some properties that might help us, or that might help you in working with multiple operations, or in working or in solving with a problem with multiple operations. The first one, associative property. Okay, what is associative property? Okay, I want you to look at the screen. The definition is associative property of addition. It says when you add, you can group the numbers in any combinations. Okay, even if you group the numbers in any combination, it says you will always arrive at the same answer. With multiplication, it says when you multiply, you can group the numbers in any combination. Same with addition, you will always arrive at the same answer. Okay, so I want you to look at the rules below. Look at the rules as shown below. See, we have A plus B plus C. If you work out B plus C first, and then A, will have the same answer if you work out A plus B first, then add C. Okay, as you can see, you can add 5 plus 3 is 8, then plus 2 is 10. If you start with 2 plus 5, 7, and then plus 3, which is also 10. So it's just the same. The answer is just the same. Now with multiplication, A times B times C, if you start multiplying B and C, and then A is the same as multiplying A and B first, and then multiplied to C. Okay, the same number. 5 times 3 is 15, and then times 2, which is equals to 30, is equal to 2 times 5, which is 10, times 3 is also 30. Okay, let's look at some more examples about this associative property. Just don't forget the definition of associative property. Okay, let's try more example of associative property. 4 plus 5 plus 8. Okay, I hope you can understand the handwriting. 4 plus 5 plus 8 is the same as 8 plus 5 plus 4. Okay, how? Let's see. Okay, 4 plus 5 is 9, and then 9 plus 8 is equals to 17 is equals to 8 plus 5 is 13 plus 4 is equals to 17. So that is associative property of addition. How about associative property of multiplication? Okay, I have only little space, but I'll try to write it in this area. This is for multiplication. I'm gonna use the number 6 times 7 times 9 is equals to 9 times 7 times 6. Okay, so 6 times 7, we have 42 times 9. Then we have 9 times 7, which is 63 times 6. Okay, 42 times 9 is 378. And 63 times 6 is also 378. So these examples just prove that When you add a string of numbers, you can add them in any order you like. The same thing with multiplying a string of numbers. You will always have the same answer. Okay, by the way, before we proceed to another property, I want you to take note that the associative property applies only to addition or multiplication. It does not pertain to subtraction or division. So remember, associative property is only applicable to addition or multiplication. Okay, and now let's proceed to distributive property of multiplication over addition and subtraction. Okay, distributive property of multiplication over addition and subtraction. Now below is the rule. If you have, an expression A times the sum of B plus C, okay, here, it is equals to A times B and A times C. So A times B plus A times C. So this is this from the word distribute. You are distributing the factor to the sum or difference of another factor. Okay, so that is distributive property of multiplication over addition. Now let's try some example. It is easy to understand if we are doing it using an example. Okay, first example. Okay, let me write it. 3 times 4 plus 2 is equals to 3 times 4 plus 3 times 2 is equals to 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 times 2 is 6, and the answer is 18. Okay, another example. 3 times 4 minus 2 can be written in the form of 3 times 4 minus 3 times 2. Then we have 12 minus 6. The answer is 6. So it's easy to understand the distributive property of multiplication over addition and subtraction. Now, the GED test writers will sometimes use an equation that can be written in two different ways. They will do this to see if you know about this equation and if you can spot when it is in your interest to change the equation into its other forms. Changing into other forms will actually help you to find a much easier way to solve the problem. If a problem gives you information in factored form, if a problem gives you information in factored form or factored format, like A times B plus C, you should distribute it immediately. Okay, take note, you should distribute it immediately. If the information is given in distributed form, like AB plus AC, you should factor it. Now let's try the example below. Now, as you can see the example, we have 1/2 times 5 plus 1/2 times 3. Now in this case, there is no exact half of 5 and there is no exact half of 3. So instead of working working with decimals or with fractions, you can actually change the form. Okay, you can actually change the form of this problem so that you can easily find the answer. Okay, so let's this one is in a distributive form, so we can change the format into factored format. Okay, the factored format, if we change it, we have 1/2, because that's a common, times 5 plus 3. And 5 plus 3 is 8. So 1/2 times 8. Now, as you can see, it's easy to find half of 8. Because half of 8, there's an exact answer. The answer is 4. So the answer is 4. So the sequence is much easier than solving or finding half of 5 and then finding half of 3. Actually, the question that you should ask yourself, why do more work than necessary? If you can find a better way to solve the problem, then use it than working the way that is quite complicated. Now let's try some GED types of problem or GED format. Okay, let's look at this tryout. Okay, the question says, if 3x plus 3y is equals to 21, then what is the value of x plus y? A, 3, B, 6, C, 7, or D, not enough information. Now, everyone's first impulse on a problem like this is to pick choice D. Not enough information is given. After all, there are two different variables, x and y. So unless we know what both variables are, how can we figure out the problem? The answer is the distributive property. You may not have noticed that the equation in the problem above was in one of the formats. We were just looking at AB plus AC. So otherwise known as the distributive form. Therefore, before we give up hope, let's try putting the equation into its mirror image format. What is the mirror image format? Okay, the factored form, because this one is distributive form. So the factored form is A times B plus C. Okay, let's try applying it on the problem. So we have 3x plus 3y is equals to 21, and then 3 times x plus y is equals to 21. You should know the answer by now, okay? Because you already know the factors of 21, because one of the factors is already given. So what is that number that when you multiply to 3, the answer is 21? So the other factor multiplied to 3 is 7. So it means x plus y is equals to 7. So the answer is 7. So the answer from the choices above is choice C. Okay, choice C, 7. Now, as you can see, it's easy to manipulate problems that involves multiple operations if you understand, aside from the order of operations, you should also understand the associative and distributive properties. So this time, let's proceed to order of operations and associative and distributive properties drill. Okay, I'll be giving you five problems. Okay, it's on the screen. You can pause the video. Then while the video is on pause, try to find the answer from number 1 to number 5. Then after finishing, you can continue with the video because I will be showing you the answer to each question so that you can check your answer if your answers are correct. Okay, done. Here are the answers. Okay, here are the answers and explanation. Number 1, we need to work out the 3 minus 4 first before multiplying to 5. So we have 3 minus 4. Okay, let me write it. I hope I can write it clearly. So I can write 5. 3 minus 4 is minus 1 plus 2. That's the first step. Then multiplication. 5 times minus 1 is minus 5. Okay, by the way, if I'm using the word minus, I'm referring to negative. So, okay, negative 5. Negative 5 plus 2 is equals to negative 3. Okay, number 2. We can apply the associative property by multiplying any of the numbers in a much easier way, or a much easier way to you. Okay, like for me, it's easier for me to solve 2 times 3 first. So I'm gonna have 7. I'm gonna do 2 times 3. 7 times 6, because I know 7 times 6 very well. So 7 times 6 is 42. Okay, number 3. Okay, let's start with those inside the parentheses. Okay, inside the parentheses we have this one and this one. So let's copy the other numbers. 3. Okay, minus, let's solve it from left to right. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is, oh no, it's 0, plus 2 minus 6. 2 minus 4 is minus 2. So 3 times 0, any number multiplied to 0 is 0. So it's already 0, so this one is 0. And 6 times minus 2 is equals to minus 12. So the answer in number 3 is minus 12. Now, number 4. Okay, we have brackets, we have parentheses. Now, in this type of question, especially if you have multiple parentheses or brackets, you should always work out the inner, the inner parenthesis or the inner bracket. So let's start with 3 minus 5. So let's copy the other numbers. 8. Okay, let's use this bracket. 4 times 3 minus 5 is minus 2. Okay. Then next step is 8 times 4 times minus 2 is minus 8. Okay. Then 8 times minus 8 is minus 64. So the answer here is minus 64. Okay, number 5. 1/4 times 3 plus 1/4 times 9. There's no exact quarter of 3 and there's no exact quarter of 9. So it is quite complicated if you will be working with with fractions compared to just a simple whole number. So we can apply the distributive property. And this one is in distributive form, so we can change it back into factored form or factored format. Okay, so factored format, 1/4 times 3 plus 9. So 1/4 times 3 plus 9 is 12. And it's easy to find the 1/4 of 12 or the quarter of 12. So the quarter of 12 is 3. So the answer is 3. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you have learned something from our video about order of operations. Please don't forget to look at the order of operations and the associative and distributive properties. If you don't understand something from our presentation, you can comment below, or if you are interested to learn more, you can contact us through our number 081-417-0978. You can send a message at our Facebook, or you can visit us at www.phuketpals.org.